world-class leaders. A lot of you said it's hard to describe. You know, what does it mean? It was hard for you guys to pinpoint one thing and or give one definition of what a great leader looked like. And Kuzny and Posner, they have done research since the 1980s. They started in 1980 when and you think about the 80s, what was inspired in the business world was entrepreneurship, you know, a lot of developing of new ideas. And these two gentlemen, Kuzny and Posner, they're actually social workers by background. And what they began to do was they began to study how it is people were successful in the workplace, looking at traits of personality and human performance. Not unlike positive psychology for Don Clifton, who we're going to talk about, because he wanted to know why people were successful and looked at what more was going right rather than what was going wrong. So Kuzny and Posner have been in the field. They've been studying people in leadership. Thousands and thousands of researched individuals, organizations, teams, and what they have found is that really people are successful in organizations not in regards to positions they hold or the hierarchy. This really has very little to do with successful leadership within companies, teams, organizations. Our leaders are all around us. They're all walking right next to us every single day. So let's look outside of the box and not look for leaders that are within the title of managers and supervisors, but let's look outside to see who we're surrounded with. I guarantee we're surrounded with some great leaders, and I guarantee we have some great leaders in this room as well. We want to throw out that, and I also reflect back on what I said in the first hour with the manager versus the leader. All right, regardless of your title, we all have personal positions of influence, regardless of your title. All right, so that's what I really want you to hold on to. Leadership can really be found all around us, truly all around us. I checked in at one hotel upon which I was training for a race, so I wanted a treadmill. The treadmill was broken. My back hurt from being in the car, so I wanted to sit in the jacuzzi, and those two things were broken. The young lady behind the desk was a fantastic leader who represented service. She was very calm. She took control of the situation. She called everybody she needed to do because it was through Expedia. She needed to call another hotel to get the Expedia ticket transferred to that hotel. She called Expedia personally. She got it refunded. The Expedia person got more money funded back to Southeast Community College. I am telling you, she went above and beyond when truly what she could have said to me was, "I'm sorry, but I don't have control over the pool or the treadmill being broken." She was a fantastic leader, and really when I walked away from that service and that customer appreciation that she gave me, I wanted to hug her. And I think that's sometimes what leadership does. It's like, you know what, she didn't have to, but she did, and I will always remember that. Sounds kind of silly, right? A 10-minute time frame in my life where somebody behind a counter had a lot of influence on me. So we have it around us every single day. I'm afraid that technology takes us away of being mindful of the influence of people every single day. And I really want us to always stop and think and appreciate who is impacting us every single day. It's an art that most can be taught. We are not born with an innate ability to become great leaders. If you look at the biographies of great leaders, no two look the same. There's not a genetic determination of how great you will be as a leader. It is a trait. You may have a trait or a talent, and it's how you develop your skills and knowledge and practice them that will come to fruition. So it's an art that most can master. How many of you guys have been trying to master this art? How many of you guys would like some stronger foundation on how to become more artful in regards to leadership? Yeah, we all do. We all need it. So Kuzny and Posner identified 5 practices of great leaders that they found to have kind of across the board with great leaders. The 5 practices, And the first one is to model the way. How many of you guys said you truly want people to walk the talk? You can take out your pen, you can write this down, because it is in the little fine print of your job description. What's the little fine print of that job description? And all other duties assigned. The ultimate rule is you do what is ever most needed at any given time to make your organization great. What followers seek first in a leader is credibility. We don't follow too many people that we don't respect. Again, when that respect or trust is damaged, we're not going very far. We're in it at that point for the paycheck until we find another job. Credibility is huge. Do what you say you are going to do. And when you can't, for whatever reason, resources has fallen short, your time as a resource, you weren't able to fit it in, you hold yourself accountable to get back to that person and say, I'm still working on it. I said the deadline was going to be 3. I apologize. I need to move that to tomorrow. How does that person then feel when you've taken the time to get back to him and talk to him? If observational learning is 90%, then we look to actions more than we look to words. Observational learning is 90%. So it is huge. What is your voice and what are you walking to? You know, what is your tune? Finding their voice. And the first thing we try to do there, when we see that finding the voice, we talk about, what do you stand for? What are you talking about? What words are coming out of your mouth? What are your work ethics? What are your values? Oftentimes it's not until a crisis that we step back and say, truly, what do I stand for? How many of you guys have ever written a mission statement? Mission statements and values clarification, again, it's not something that we often do, but when people say, what do you stand for, what do you say? Because leaders, you want to know what they stand for, right? If you don't know what you stand for, then how will others know how to follow you? Because they're going to follow you based off of what you stand for. How do you hold yourself accountable to those values, to your personal mission statement, to the mission statement and the vision of the organization which you work with? Do you even know what the mission statement of your organization is? Have you ever read it? But clarifying your values, and are your values in line with the organization that you work with so that you can be a great leader within that organization? Those have to align. You have to have some consistency and support there. We don't want to be working with an organization that's out of line with our values. And communicating them in your own words. And what does that look like? All right. So are your values playing out during your day? Are you walking the talk? Are people able to describe you based off of your values? And your actions. Your actions speak louder than words. Observational behavior, 70% of your message. The verbal message is lost based off of actions that are demonstrated. So we can take action when we say we're trustworthy and honest and value communication by showing actions which are consistent with that. With those. So clarifying that values is huge. Communicating them in your own words. And I know it's scary, but we are going to do some values clarification here. Walking the talk. Working side by side in the trenches with our people, modeling the way. You want your leaders to actually be in there. If you guys want to go out there and get some ideas about how to bring engagement and projects to your place, the Ritz is awesome. They have some fantastic stories. For instance, a manager to the laundry service to the hotel, they found that a gentleman left a suit behind, and the facilitator in charge of cleaning the room, she brought it to the supervisor and said, what do I need to do with this? And the supervisor said he would take care of it. The supervisor tracked down the gentleman's name, and it was a kind of a crisis thing, and he actually got in a car and drove the suit to the gentleman before he got onto the airplane. That supervisor took it and went with it, and you appreciate that because that person who brought the suit to him said, wow, look at my manager. My manager really cared about that person in order to drop what he was doing to make sure that person had the suit before they got on the airplane. In times of crisis, we look for our leaders to be with us, to walk with us, to talk with us, to guide us, to be in those trenches. Telling stories makes those values come to life, being visible during times of uncertainty. But when we're stressed, sometimes our people that are not trained in good leadership, when we're stressed, they sometimes get to their room, shut the door, they're freaking out. We sometimes don't communicate when we're stressed out, leaders. In times of crisis and change, what do we need? Holy cow, we need communication. Even if we don't have the answers to it, we just need to be open forum. We need to at least let people ask the questions. I don't have the answers, but let me get back to you. You know, but that's something you have to become comfortable with. Handling problems with grace. So what does that look like, feel like for you? Any of you guys ever get stressed out? Teach yourself to pause.
And then focus on the issue.
And focus on the issue. Being objective, focusing on the facts. At the same point, handling it with grace is also connecting with what's stressing that person out.
Right.
So we don't want to discount emotion. We have to recognize it, but bring out how we're going to move it forward. One of my strongest message to you is you are always looking at how to move a relationship, a project, a person forward. Where are we going? I never want to work on being stagnant. I don't want to get stuck. And if something's not working, by all means, call me. Let's move it, figure out how to get going forward. And handling it with grace, I also want to do the human component, is that you guys are not going to handle every situation with grace. We're going to have our good times, we're going to have our bad. And in those bad times, though, I do hold myself accountable to go back and deal with it. You know, if I've had a bad day with my kids and I end on a bad note with a yell or a scream or something that is not positive, I take a moment to reflect. And knowing I didn't handle it well, it might take me a little bit of time because I got to, say I was wrong, which is really hard, but I go back and I do apologize for the fact I could have handled it better. And I'm human, I'm gonna make mistakes, and so are you. But it is how you then deal with rectifying how you've done it wrong and how you would like to improve it in the future. Our ability to connect is that people see us as human, and we humble ourselves. And I think humble leaders are who we want to inspire to be about. I think we tend to be in a culture where if we say we're sorry, we look upon it as being weak, when I see it as a strength. If I can recognize where I've gone wrong, I think that's, like you said, personal development and growth. And that's where, and I say sorry to my students. You know what? Just because I'm up here and they're here does not put me in another category where I cannot connect with them. And if I don't apologize, for instance, if I don't have a test uploaded or if I haven't got their grades done, and that's because that's my own stuff going on, you know what? I am going to apologize and say I am very sorry, and I'm going to reevaluate, new deadline out there. But yeah. Ooh. Some people will come back and say, I probably could have handled that differently. Or, I don't think yesterday went really well. What can we do about it today? And sometimes we need to hear the words, I'm sorry, realize you may not get that actual verbiage coming back, but recognize other instances of rectifying a wrong can come to you different ways.
So the second practice that Kuzney and Posner refers to is inspire a shared vision. Leaders are driven by a clear mental image of what could be accomplished. What could be accomplished? That is the vision. What is coming? How many of you guys are fearful of the future? You don't want to know, because something might happen.
And I know some of your conversations were about that. How do you get buy-in? How do you motivate somebody when change is here, and or motivate someone to be inspired with your vision to drive for future goals? The vision is critical. Leaders are driven by a clear mental image of what could be accomplished. My son, my 17-year-old, has futuristic as #1 and ideation. So sometimes those kind of thinkers are great great leaders because they think about possibilities and options and the what ifs, you know. You're inspired by the vision of what could be better. So that vision thing is very important to our leaders. How do we innovate? How do we create change? How do we not just live in day-to-day operations, but how can we make it better? And how do we inspire our people?
Well, another great example is Martin Luther King. We know that Martin Luther King, the amazing thing about Martin Luther King is there was no, and his I Have a Dream speech, there were no texting, there was no emailing going around. How do people know to show up on the stairs there? Word of mouth. How many people showed up? Over 250,000 people. No texting, no cell phone calls, but they showed up. What do you think they showed up for? For the future? For a better future? For a vision? Do you know that there were blacks and whites there, side by side? So the vision was not just about a one-sided perspective, but it was about people and growing people and people that wanted to follow him based off of the words that he was saying. A leader without followers is obviously not a leader. Nobody was going to show up on those steps if they did not believe in what he was trying to achieve. They didn't know how it was going to be done. They didn't know how it was going to look, but they believed it could be better. They believed if we put action and we showed up that something might happen. My vision must become our vision. So he had that vision. And he brought 250,000 people there to share his vision, which then people transformed to become their own vision, black or white. You know, so that's the amazing thing, is it's not about, you know, just following in line with people. It's about creating new lines and creating new direction and figuring out, you know, I might be scared, but if we're scared together, maybe could we focus on being together and working together to get there?
So followers must be enlisted and to become part of your vision. And again, this is kind of wrapping around too to your mission statement, thinking and thoughts, is to think about where do you want your future to be going personally and professionally? What is your vision? Do you have a vision for family goals, and do you have a vision for your career goals? And you might have individual visions, but also you may have overall like organizational visions that you might be responsible for. If I'm a leader and you are my team and you know my value base and you know where I want to drive our team, it constantly comes back to the values, which are the anchors that drive our vision. So for instance, if you have a measurable objective in regards to I want to grow our business to be X amount of dollars, to serve X amount of customers and or students, to have X amount of graduating rates, to have success rates, whatever that looks like, when you are in times of struggle, you will come back to where are the values that are guiding this and how do I stay strong in times of adversity. So that's where they really intertwine, and unfortunately people sometimes do this. You sometimes take a position and you don't always reflect on the values and the vision of that job. You took a job based off of a job description that you thought was a good fit, and we don't look at all of the factors. And then it's a year or two down the road where you're like, gosh, I'm not happy, something's not right, it's not working for me.
All right, so to enlist others, know what your people want. Where do you want to lead them to? Demonstrate how the vision serves a common good, common purpose. Are you listening to your people? Some of your themes that came through with your leadership profile is that the leaders that you work with that inspire you listen to you. You had input. They valued your opinion to grow in a specific direction. And infect others with your enthusiasm, absolutely.
And we are going to pick up on the third practice that Kuzney and Posner introduces us to, which is the challenging the process. And sometimes this is not always comfortable for people, so we do want to make sure that we are connecting with, through our talents, is this something you do naturally or is this something you need to work on? So challenging the process here, we're looking at, and as leaders, making sure we're not settling for the status quo. We want to make sure that we don't get into ruts, that we are always ever so mindful of how the academic fields are changing. What is new on other campuses? What can we bring that is new to our campus? It is easy sometimes to just do things as things have always been done for the sake of ease, and change and transition is not. But as leaders, we want to be able to challenge processes that have been in place for a while, look outside the box for new ideas. We never want to say we're satisfied with the way things are done, because if we ever stop growing, then our competitors are going to be passing us right up. So challenging that status quo, we can do this by searching for opportunities, looking at what other college campuses are doing, looking at bringing other resources in for some discussion, researching how they have implemented different procedures and policies. A lot of you might be doing projects with technology. I think that's prime for seeking out searching out other opportunities of what's already out there, how you can tweak it and develop it to meet the needs of your campus, challenging the process by taking risks. And I know taking risks is scary, because there's an element of fear for people that they may not accomplish it, or it may end up poorly. But if we truly never challenge, then we never know if there are other great opportunities on the other side. We've got to be comfortable with experimenting. You as a leader have to afford your people also the opportunity for them to take chances. And even in your mind, you might think up front, hey, I don't think this is going to work, but don't say that. Let them take the ball and roll with it, especially if they're, excited and motivated about doing something new or researching something. That's where we're going to see the most innovation, and innovation and challenging the process for me kind of go hand in hand. Learning from your mistakes, that mistakes carries a negative negative stereotype along with it. Mistakes are just goals that were not met. Maybe they were things that you were hoping for one end result, and you didn't get to that end result. I don't want us to fear mistakes. I want us to embrace mistakes. I want us to use mistakes as opportunities to grow from and learn from. I am human. I say it to everybody I work with. Within your day, you should have multiple mistakes. You should have multiple things that maybe didn't go quite the way you wanted, but what did you learn from that lesson? What did you take away from that situation? And how is it you're going to learn from it, move it forward, and grow it in a good direction? That's what mistakes are here for us to grow and learn from. And we also then have to be making sure we're open to the ideas. Again, what I said earlier, sometimes we close off because we already in our mind think that somebody's bringing this idea and I know this idea didn't work, or this idea has already been tried. And just be open to hearing them. Actively listen to them from point A to point B, because we oftentimes are so busy, we close that channel down, and we already have our response waiting for them to pause for us to give it to them. I want us to be more mindful and open to making sure we're actively listening to our people from point A to point B, and so that they know you're listening, they feel your trust, they feel your honest response versus a kind of a jump in, you didn't really hear what I was saying response. And so being open to those ideas, trying things different ways, doing them again and again, tweaking them. If it's a good idea but you're not quite getting it to be successful, then that involves some tweaking and trying it again and again, creating a new habit around a different procedure or policy. It takes a while, not unlike any other behavioral habits or change. It often takes a while to take hold. And so we do have to stay persistent and strong. And in the course of that, recognizing that you're going to probably be followed by some stress, and your people will be having some stress as well. Part of change and growth and a lot of positive things will also be accompanied by stress, and that's absolutely okay. when we see stress as a positive. It's the energy, it's the adrenaline, it's the lift we get when we are stressed to get the job done. Stress is not all negative. It's how we utilize it, which can turn it into a positive. Stress is a good thing. Just realizing how often you're living in it and what you're doing with it will be the key to your success. And the fourth practice of Kuzney and Posner, which is enabling others to act, we want to make sure that we have followers. A leader is not a leader unless people want to follow them, you know. You can't lead a troop up a hill if they don't believe in you, and nobody's going to follow you with this project unless they believe in you and they believe that you believe in them. Enabling others is going to be huge. You know, even speaking to them in regards to, I need you. You know, this is your role on the team. We can't do it without you. Empowering them with those words helps them to buy in. It helps them to feel part of something that is bigger than themselves. And that's where you get that great following, when people believe in you and when they know that you believe in them and that you encourage them from your heart, is going to be a big piece of your success as a leader, or as being seen as a leader. And enabling others, it could be involved collaborating, is going to be very important, not just with your people, but in your Leadership Now project. Collaboration is something we're going to expect for you to share with us. Who did you collaborate in coming up with your idea? You know, what type of outside resources were you looking at to gather your information? Collaborating could be across campuses, could be across industries, across teams, departments, whatever that looks like. You know, we want to put that into action. And the replicating, enabling others to act, replicating ideas is the greatest of compliment ever to a person or to a team or to a project. So we want to make sure that that is in place too, and giving them ownership. If they came up with the idea, or if they, you know, found the idea through their research or through the team's research, whatever that looks like. So collaboration is key to enabling others to act. They will feel more invested when they feel as if they're responsible for a piece of it. They will follow you up that hill when they feel as if you've got their backs and that you are the motivating leader that they have aspired to look towards. And collaboration, being part of that family, will bring those troops up that mountain for sure. It's not an easy task, and I do think it is something we have to put a plan of action out there. Who are we collaborating with? Why? What are the projected outcomes? What are we looking for? Who do we need to have on board? All of those kind of questions I'll be asking you when we do talk about your leadership project. And the fifth principle of encouraging the heart, although it is the fifth, it is not in any type of order. Encouraging the heart, to me, is vital to your organization, to your success. It's something that, when reported through research, managers say they do it all the time. Employees say they do not receive it all the time. We often, I think, get it in our head that somebody's done a good job, or we think, you know, we saw it and we're like, wow, that was really good. But we don't always say it. You know, we don't always actively pursue that person out to say, what a nice job you did. That was excellent example of teamwork, or excellent example of, you know, you were walking and you started picking up trash on campus, and we are aspiring to be the, you know, clean campus, a beautiful campus, and that really spoke to my heart when you did that. You know, so I know that a lot of us get it in our heads that we have done it, but we do need to make sure we're actively, mindfully doing it, consciously doing it, hearing ourselves doing it, not just thinking about doing it. And we want to do this, you know, more so than not, especially because the road, you know, is long and hard. And I know we get caught up in our own daily struggles, but we really have to step outside of our own daily struggles to make sure that we are rising to the occasion. It is very easy in the academics arena for people to feel like they are not receiving rewards or recognition or appreciation. Absolutely, especially working with students that, you know, you can see little glimpses of success here and there, but sometimes you feel as if they're few and far between. So it is a long and hard road. We want to make sure that we are doing nothing but to cause the betterment of that long and hard road by encouraging the hearts of our constituents. World-class leaders recognize followers' contributions. Even as small as my first example, picking up trash. If you saw another colleague picking up trash, going to them and saying, "Wow, that was great." Celebrating what your mission is, what your vision is for your campus, and not just as a global definition or a global statement, but look for it in the people and bring it out in your people. So they can also begin to see themselves as part of that big mission statement, and they're like, wow, you know what? These are my values. This is what I do believe in. These are the things I stand for. You know, so bringing it out as statements that, bringing out in live statements to your people will bring it alive for them and help them to feel like, again, they are part of something that's bigger. They will become more engaged, more passionate, they'll have more effective communication, and less of the, you know, negativity will be going around when you feel like you're on board with a great mission. So celebrating those values, when I talk about we are going to bring, have you develop your mission statement, I do really challenge you to help your people put out your mission statement. You're going to put out your strengths. People are going to start asking questions. I really want you to celebrate and stand strong in the values that are going to be coming through in your mission statements. I hope that you bring those values to your Leadership Now project so people know what you stand for. And that is, we want to follow leaders who stand for something. And that's how you get your people on board. And the victories, you know what, I don't want to just hear about the victory at the end of the road. I want to hear about all the little milestones it took you to get to that victory. I also want you to take time out to make sure you're encouraging the heart of others along those little milestones. Don't wait to that finish line. Otherwise, you're going to have people dropping off left and right. Make sure you celebrate even the smallest of victories. And again, it doesn't have to be huge, doesn't have to involve a lot of money. Small recognitions, letters of appreciation, those kind of things really go a long way and is really a testament to who you want to become as a leader. I'm encouraging the heart. We can do it by seeking out people who are setting those examples. Who do we want to see more of? What practices do we want to see more of? On our campus? What am I looking for as a leader on my campus that would show me that my campus is really embracing a higher culture of engagement and passion towards making a difference? Personalizing the recognition, name beginning, name in the middle, and name in the end, the person's name, sing the song to their ears, and you cannot say it enough. It's very important to include their name in your recognition, and linking their recognition to those clear standards that we talked about. And it's not just the clear standards as far as meeting job expectations. Of course, we want to recognize those standards as well, but you know, it's also a standard, like I said, the ultimate rule. We want people to do what is necessary at any given time, regardless of who is watching, to make our campuses great. That is the ultimate rule. So again, when you see people picking up trash, or you see people going outside of what they should do, doing something for a colleague because the colleague's under a lot of stress and demand, and those are the actions that we want to pick up on. Those are the actions, you know, you don't want that just to brush over. We have more than 6,000 moments in the day, you know, moments that brush over us, brush beside us, and then really hit us. And oftentimes, even with the ones that really hit us, we don't stop and say thank you. We don't stop and say wow, or that was great. We don't stop and appreciate. We want to grab more of those moments. Grab the moments that are brushing over you or beside you and see what you can do with those. See how that makes your people smile and see how that encourages their heart. Celebrating individuals in group settings, the public recognition has been shown to be, double duty as far as its impact. People don't want to say they need it, but it is nice to have it. Now, my hesitant to this is that they may not enjoy public recognition, which is absolutely fine. So you might want to play down those recognitions for those individuals, but build up the recognition behind closed doors for those people. My boss has a great example of every once in a while we'll just get a random note in our home mailbox, which is a thank you letter from our supervisor just saying, recognizing a job well done, and she'll be very specific about what the recognition was related to, what group I did a training with or coached, and the outcome and the feedback. And it really makes me feel like she cares. And it only took her a minute to write the note. So you're going to have some conversations about what is it you need from me? How is it you like to be rewarded and recognized and appreciated? And I know sometimes that's hard for people to pick up on or to be able to share with you, so it is also your job to pick up on those things. Staying in love with what you do, obviously you are going to be the leader there and want to stay strong and believe that your job is not just a job, but it's part of you, who you are, and showing that to your people. Enjoying and showing the gratitude, showing that attitude of a gratitude and appreciation for your job, for your team, for your department, the campus, what a great place it is to work. That motivation and enthusiasm comes from you, and when you have that, people want it, and that encourages them to do the same. So when you can do just a little more, it encourages your people to do just a little more. Never underestimate the strength of a heart, but it does need help pumping every single day, and that help comes from you, and that help comes from continued reinforcement, appreciation, recognition, and every single day you have the abilities to do a 10-second moment of recognition for somebody. It doesn't take long. Don't just think about it. Make sure you're putting action behind it and doing it.